All right, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at BotBots Series 6 Fish Oil from the Oil Slicks team. And yeah, there's kind of an interesting story with this BotBot. Well, first of all, it is another one of the Oil Slicks, which is basically the chase figures for BotBot Series 6. They're all cast in black and then done up in these kind of pearlescent color schemes. And most of them are, of course, repaints of previous series BotBots. But this one is actually one of the molds that was in the original Series 6 before it was canceled. And in that series, it was going to be done in like regular fish colors, like orange. It was going to be like a goldfish. And yeah, for a couple different reasons, this is one of the biggest bummers of Series 6 for me, just because it was one of the molds I was looking forward to the most when we first originally saw those images of the original Series 6. And I was really sad to see that they were bringing it back and not doing it in the original color scheme. Granted, I do feel like this one gets away with it a little bit more than most of the other Oil Slicks BotBots do, just by virtue of the fact that like fish come in all sorts of different colors. And, you know, the kind of like pearlescent shiny scheme kind of makes it, it kind of shines like some fish actually do. So I do think that this works. I would have preferred it in the goldfish colors, but I still think that this works as a fish, even if it weren't connected to the whole like Oil Slicks thing. That being said, there are some other problems with this mold because yeah, this is one of the Series 6 BotBots that has a few joints on it that are just so incredibly tight that they pretty much just don't function. They don't do their full functionality. You can't really fully get this BotBot to robot mode, unfortunately. And yeah, I guess we'll get into that now. So first of all, his tail here does come off. It's just becomes kind of like a handheld weapon sort of in robot mode, but you can take it off or leave it on. If you want to store it, that's where it would stay anyway. The legs underneath here just flip out. Pretty standard stuff so far. The head here, you just grab the little front crest here and then you just pull it up and there you see the BotBot's face. Now, a couple things here. The little fins, you can see they're on these little sliding tracks, which you know what? Tolerances aside, I don't know why they thought that would work at this scale because it just isn't a lot of real estate to work with, but you're supposed to slide them up and slide them over. I can't ever get them past the corner, so I pretty much just bring them up like that and, treat them as little, I guess, shoulder pads, but yeah, they're supposed to slide even further back so they actually sit above the shoulders, but that doesn't really work. And for whatever reason, the ball joints in here are so incredibly tight that when I'm like moving the arm right now, if you're paying attention to the seam on the ball joint here, it's not moving. It's completely stuck in place. All this movement is literally just kind of like bending and tearing the plastic, which you can kind of see in there, which I'm only kind of showing off for the sake of the review. But this is not actually moving the joints of the figure. This is kind of warping and bending the plastic, and that's about as far as I'm comfortable bringing it, which is not great. And there we have fish oil in their robot mode. Yeah, this is not good. I mean, you can put the thing in their hand. I don't even want to do that because I feel like this doesn't even really fit in the hand either, and I'm not really comfortable trying to force it because I'm afraid I'm just gonna like end up tearing it off the joint there. You can see how the thin strand that's holding on to now. So I usually just leave this in place. And I guess, if you want to stay a little bit more risk-free in this BotBot, what you could do is just leave the arms in place and don't touch them and just leave the fins down, especially since those are the two parts that don't really function. And, all things considered, just using the fins as hands is not bad. I mean, it's a little bit lazy, and obviously he can't hold the weapon otherwise, but you can't really stand while this isn't plugged in there anyway, so like you pretty much have to leave it plugged in regardless. So yeah, there's just like a lot of problems with this BotBot, and honestly, I wouldn't even have as big problems with it if all of this was just baked in, like there were no arms that connected like this, and the fins just stayed there and become the arms. Because honestly, still kind of cute. A little bit uninspired to just have legs pop up at the bottom of the fish and then pull the head up and have that be it, but it's better than what they currently have going here because the arms are pretty much tearing off of the really, really tight ball joints. Like the tolerance on the ball joints is so tight that you can't pull out the arms. It's not like one of the like little sliders or any of the other ones that have issues. It's like the ball joints for the arms are so incredibly tight. Like that needed another like pass or two in the design process, which is really disappointing. But taking this for what it is, I think the robot mode is okay. It's cute looking. It goes a long way having just kind of like the pretty color scheme. But yeah, this is going to be kind of a tough one to score. Robot mode. I mean, even all things considered, like just with the little sort of fan mode I've had here to like make it actually work. I do kind of like it. I'd say teetering between a 3 and a 2. I'm gonna give it a 2 just because like this is not actually what the robot mode is supposed to look like, and the actual robot mode is kind of unachievable. So that's not great. And I also don't like the fact that, by design, you're supposed to take the whale tail off as a weapon, but then just straight up cannot stand because gravity, guys, come on. So that's not great. So, well, we'll stick with 2. Alt mode, I think I'll give a 4 out of 5. If it were like the orange colors, I probably would have given it a 5 or maybe even a 6. But as is, because of the, just due to the fact that fish come in all different colors, the oil slicks color scheme on this one actually does not bother me all that much compared to the other oil slicks ones. Because usually I just, when there's like the chase figure BotBots, I just prefer them in their regular color schemes. And I definitely would have preferred this in goldfish colors, but at least it's not like a bizarre thing to have like a rainbowy colored fish, right? Like that makes total sense. Oh, I didn't really talk about articulation. I mean, you can kind of rotate the little fins here. In theory, you're supposed to be able to rotate the arms, but you know. Um, and then transformation obviously has got to be a flat out 1 because it's so tight to the point of being completely non-functional in 2 different areas. Like so tight, it's not even one of the ones where it's like, oh, once I got a tool and kind of popped it out, it was okay. Like it literally just tore like the first time I tried to do it on both sides. And it's got clearly has this little slider up here for the fins, which it just is too tight to get through. So yeah, it's real bad. It's just kind of non-functional, which is a huge disappointment. But at the end of the day, that is still going to give fish oil a 7 out of 15, which does make them a 1-star BotBot, but it's a weird one to rate because in principle, like if the arms just stayed like this and it was like it probably would end up getting a 2-star rating. I don't know. I'd probably give maybe the robot mode a 3 out of 5, but just due to the fact that this is not how it's supposed to be, but it's the way it has to be, then that has to dock at a point, and it wouldn't have be docked points in transformation if it just didn't try to do all those weird things that it didn't have to do. So I think you can still find enjoyment out of this BotBot as is. It's just kind of a disappointment, A, because I was really excited for the original version, which they didn't end up doing, and B, because it has some like non-functionality to it. Also, didn't really talk about it because there's so many other problems, but I kind of don't like how the little face is kind of covered up by the top here. Like the smile is like half covered by the actual fish head. And it's not that exciting an expression either. I don't know. This BotBot was a huge disappointment to me, unfortunately, which is, kind of a bummer because I was excited to see that this mold was still being used, even if it wasn't in the original color scheme. But yeah, if you want to pick up fish oil, it is the chase figure in one of the 2 Pet Mob 8-packs. You're looking for the one with Aunt Kitty and So Humorous, and this is the blind packed one that's in that set. So you won't actually be able to see it in the set, but that's the set that you want to get it. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to them. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Make sure to check me out on my Instagram account. That's toys.n.art. And without further ado, here we have BotBots Series 6 Fish Oil.